A groggy sound escapes her lips as her eyes slowly begin to open. Waking up, she finds herself in a strange room and an unfamiliar sleeping place, her memory hazy and her body feeling weak and disoriented. She looks down, realizing with a jolt that she isn't even properly dressed. Worse, she's sleeping next to a foreign man, and suddenly she remembers that just before she fainted, he was so much more. Her mission is clear. She has to finish him off before he wakes up. As she prepares to strike, the man lets out a soft breath in his sleep. But the gun just clicks. Her eyes widen in panic as she realizes the gun isn't loaded, her plan failing. A smooth voice cuts through the tension as the man opens his eyes, calmly acknowledging that the Miss Spy is finally awake. She pulls the trigger anyway. A loud boom echoes. The blast reveals not a wounded man, but a powerful being, his form wreathed in shadow as dark feathers drift down around his silhouette. She stares in disbelief as feathers rain down from the ceiling, questioning if he's already dead. Her wide eye reflects the chaotic scene as she desperately wonders if her target is truly dead. Suddenly, a hand with long, sharp nails and glowing red tattoos emerges from the smoke, a voice telling her not to waste her energy. He reveals his true form, complete with horns and glowing crimson tattoos that spread across his chest, a small, dangerous fang peeking past his lips. His clawed hand grips her head as she realizes with dawning horror that ordinary weapons are useless. He leans in close, his demonic eyes boring into hers, whispering that she can't hurt him, confirming her terrifying new reality. She has been captured by a devil. His chilling decree echoes through the grand room as he condemns her to a life of silent obedience, trapped within these 4 gilded walls forever. The story then shifts, taking us back in time to just a few days ago. Panic erupts inside the facility as a guard shouts that the secret archives have been stolen. An officer immediately orders all doors to be locked, shouting not to let anyone escape. His men comply, slamming the heavy doors shut to seal off the entire building. The officer adjusts his cap, a grim and worried expression on his face. Meanwhile, safely outside, the thief lets out a quiet sigh of relief, calmly picking the lock on a pair of handcuffs as yellow leaves drift around her. She had successfully secured file number 109, which meant her mission was officially accomplished. She is a spy known only by her codename, Then Zhu, an elegant operative who moves with grace and precision, always one step ahead of her targets. Upon returning to her quaint safe house, she notices that a new letter awaits her. Inside, she thanks her small bird for watching the house, a crucial part of her disguise, because a spy must never reveal their true heart to survive. Her calm facade breaks as she reads the message, her eyes widening in disbelief as she wonders who could possibly know the special secret code used only between herself and Sister Amber. The letter, addressed to her as Mutiara, sends a chill down her spine. The list of flower names is clearly a secret code, but she's confused, believing the sender was already gone. Her new mission is to find an ancient scroll from the Gust clan, the founders of the City of Desire. The message emphasizes the scroll's immense importance, promising they will meet soon if she succeeds. Her destination is the sprawling, brightly lit metropolis known as the City of Desires. The letter is signed, "With love, Amber." Tears well up in Mutiara's eyes as she gazes at a framed photograph of herself and a mysterious white-haired man, her heart aching with memories. The City of Desires is a legendary place, a dream city that is said to have the power to grant any wish. Her investigation leads her directly to a lavish weekend party hosted by the Gust clan, the very heart of the city's power. She blends into the opulent chaos, ready to begin her search. She scans the opulent party, wondering if her brother's death has any connection to this place. She overhears the guests crediting the City of Desires for granting them immense wealth and fame. Disguised as a server, she moves through the crowd, observing the powerful attendees, billionaires, famous film stars, award-winning directors, renowned authors, and even high-ranking government officials. The elite are all gathered here. People from every field and even different countries are all participating in this single party. Believing she's in the right place, she slips past a staff-only barrier to begin checking the rooms one by one. She peeks into rooms filled with surreal fantasies, like people literally drowning in money or attending parties in the air, a bizarre manifestation of their deepest desires. Her instincts guide her to another door, a feeling of dread and curiosity washing over her as she wonders what lies behind it. The scene inside is one of forbidden, indescribable chaos, a wild party of pure hedonism that leaves her momentarily stunned by its sheer depravity. Reeling from the sight, a voice from the end of the hallway catches her attention. It might be important information. She cautiously approaches the source of the voice and peers through a narrow crack in the door. Inside, a desperate senator pleads with a man named Delmond, begging for his help to eliminate his political enemies, a request heavy with sinister implications. The senator frantically offers anything in return for this dark favor: money, slaves, weapons, whatever it takes. A subordinate slams his head down. He reminds the senator that he's already made several agreements and that the ruler of the City of Desire, the head of the Gust clan, isn't interested in such worldly things. The leader finally speaks, a chilling smile on his face, clarifying that the price of an agreement is determination, hinting it costs the remainder of one's life and mental vigor. Delmond's glowing eyes narrow with a confident smirk, his presence radiating an overwhelming power as he coolly predicts more desperate souls will soon come, ready to bargain. Pulling back from the door, Mutiara realizes she's just witnessed a deeply disturbing and unusual transaction. The senator's desperation escalates, and he begs, willing to pay any price, even offering his own child's heart. A cold laugh escapes him. His expression turns to disgust. Enraged by the refusal, the senator declares he came prepared and orders his bodyguards to shoot Delmond immediately. The bodyguards open fire, but with a simple click, he stands completely unharmed, the bullets frozen in mid-air around him as fiery energy swirls ominously, showcasing the terrifying extent of his incredible power. A close look at his eye reveals a slitted, reptilian pupil glowing with ancient power, confirming that he is far from human and not to be trifled with. He redirects the bullets back. Mutiara watches in utter shock, realizing that in an instant all the bullets were deflected back at the shooters, leaving Delmond completely untouched. His gaze suddenly shifts towards the door, his sharp, inhuman eyes sensing an unwelcome presence nearby. Mutiara flinches back, realizing she nearly met his eyes. This is the first time she's made such a careless mistake. As she tries to flee, she finds her hands and feet are suddenly unable to move. His voice echoes from inside the room, coolly stating that a rat has come in. Mutiara realizes her body is bound by an invisible power. Footsteps approach the door. Her eyes widen in terror. The door swings open, revealing the imposing figure of the man she was just observing. Trapped and powerless, she can only stare as her mission comes to an abrupt and dangerous end. Her last thought is a desperate apology to her brother. She believes she has failed him. But as she fades, she feels a hand take hers, the unexpected touch startling her. She looks up in confusion to see Delmond himself holding her hand, pulling her forward. His actions are completely unexpected, leaving her to wonder what his true intentions are. A warm memory surfaces of her brother Amber telling a younger Mutiara they're having stew. A more painful memory follows, her injured brother holding her tightly, warning her that to survive, they must never reveal their true thoughts to anyone. The image of him walking away is burned into her memory, a constant reminder of his sacrifice and the lessons he taught her about survival. In a daze, she sees him walking away down a long hall, calling out his name. She wonders if he's truly alive, questioning this impossible resurrection. Desperate not to lose him again, she screams for him to wait and runs after him. The chase leads her onto a gondola that glides through a vast, candlelit underground space, and she fears she has lost her brother once more. The boat stops before a grand altar laden with candles and documents. She instantly recognizes the scrolls as the ones her brother described in his letter. Turning, she sees him standing there. Overjoyed, she confirms it's really him and runs into his arms, crying out that she has finally found him. The warmth of the hug feels so real, but as her eyes snap open, the illusion shatters. The vision of her brother fades, revealing Delmond in his demonic form. He smirks, mockingly asking who she mistook him for inside the powerful illusion he cast. Horrified, she struggles against his grip, demanding to be let go as the reality of her situation crashes down on her with suffocating force. He leans in, his voice a low whisper, noting how eager she was to steal his demonic contract, then asks what she truly wants to do. Her mind races at his words. The scroll she was sent for is actually a demonic contract. Realizing this guy isn't human, she quickly tries to play the part of a lost waitress. She apologizes for the disturbance and tries to leave, but he claps a hand on her shoulder. He leans in close, sniffing the air around her with a look of intense interest, finding her scent to be absolutely exciting and unique. He explains he smelled her the moment she started listening at the door, noting that most humans give off a foul odor of greedy, hypocritical desires that makes him sick. He scoffs at the partygoers, saying that beneath their shiny appearances, they only seek to satisfy their own desires. Mutiara finally understands the horrifying truth. The legendary City of Desires, where any wish can be granted, exists solely because of these demonic contracts. He brings his face close to her neck, inhaling deeply. He murmurs that the scent emanating from her is faint, yet very distinctive, unlike any other. He tells her that no matter what her desire is, he can help her achieve it, but only if she signs a contract with him, his eyes glowing with red energy. She recognizes this demon is too dangerous to deal with and decides to take her chances. Firmly pushing him away, she declares she has no wish he can grant. He reminds her what happened to the last scoundrels with bad intentions, asking if she still wants to challenge him. Her dagger flies from her hand as he takes control of it, turning her own weapon against her and slashing her arm. But she warns him not to underestimate her weapons. As the dagger clatters to the floor, a hidden needle pops out and the scrolls on the altar begin to scatter. A wave of numbness washes over him as he realizes her hidden weapon was an anesthetic needle, a clever trap. She gloats, revealing the anesthetic is potent enough to knock out a wild bear. Taunting him for being tricked by a mere human, she tells him to enjoy the paralysis. With Delmond momentarily incapacitated, she seizes her only chance to escape, diving into the water and swimming for her life. But he scoffs, revealing that even the strongest anesthetics can only affect him for a few seconds. He easily catches her, asking if she really thought she could escape. He grabs her underwater, pulling her into a firm embrace. She struggles against his hold, demanding the demon monster let her go. As she chokes on water, a single thought fills her mind with absolute certainty. She is going to die here at the hands of this powerful demon. Her consciousness fades, but not before she sees a strange vial, a memento from her brother, begin to glow and dissolve, releasing a mysterious red substance into the water. The demonic contracts suddenly explode. Delmond's eyes widen in shock as he feels a sudden, inexplicable severing of his power, wondering if his precious contracts are disappearing. He suddenly begins to choke. He surfaces, coughing violently. The sensation is alien to him. He questions how he, a powerful demon, could possibly have drowned. He looks to Mutiara's unconscious body and realizes she's still alive. At the same moment, he feels his contracts have been reinstated, leading to an impossible conclusion. His demonic power has synchronized with her vital signs. Gently cradling her head in his hands, Delmond stares down at the spy with a mixture of disbelief and grim fascination, realizing their fates are now inexplicably and dangerously intertwined. Delmond sits across from Mutiara at a table laden with a lavish feast, urging the Miss Spy to eat and keep up her strength. Mutiara internally scoffs at the idea of eating food from a demon, wondering if it's even normal meat, all while her stomach gurgles in protest. A crow perches on the balcony railing, observing the scene from outside the opulent room. She wonders why she wasn't killed, but placed under house arrest instead, questioning the connection between her brother's mission, the demonic contract, and Delmond himself. She concludes that, for now, the most important thing is to get out of the room. To understand what's happening, she knows she needs to gather more information. Delmond stands in another room, calling out the name Diamond to the crow on the table. The crow takes flight. As feathers swirl, the crow transforms into a blue-haired man in a sharp suit. Delmond addresses him as Bort, revealing the bird was a shapeshifter. Delmond asks if she ate, and Bort confirms she didn't. Delmond then orders him to gather all information on her, from birth to today, leaving Bort to wonder why he's so interested. Bort notes that, in hundreds of years, this is the first time Delmond has brought someone back. Delmond claims it's just to pass the time. Meanwhile, Mutiara, who is under house arrest, has found a ventilation duct. Believing it's her only way out, she begins crawling through the narrow space, confident she'll find an exit. Back in the other room, Delmond magically summons a book with a very pointed title: 100 Reasons to Stay Away from Humans. Bort begins reading a warning about prolonged human exposure, but Delmond stops him. Bort explains he checked the records. Demons with close human contact always end up dying or disappearing. With a flick of his wrist, Delmond incinerates the useless book. From inside the ventilation shaft, Mutiara sees the sudden burst of flickering flames, pausing her escape to see what's happening. He declares he's a demon who has controlled human desires for millennia, boasting that dealing with them is as easy as squashing ants. Mutiara freezes in the vent, recognizing his voice from directly below. His condescending words about squashing humans like ants echo in her mind, sending a chill of pure fear through her. She wonders if he's talking about her, her terror compounded by another embarrassing gurgle from her hungry stomach. Down below, Delman pauses, his sharp demonic hearing picking up a faint noise coming from above the ceiling. Mutiara panics, desperately hoping they don't investigate, knowing it's all over if the demon spots her. She quickly scrambles towards a fork in the ventilation shaft, seeking any escape route. A dangerous red aura flares around Delman as he turns to his subordinate, his voice low and threatening, as he asks if Bort is suspicious of him. Bort remains unfazed, asking frankly if Delman has set his sights on this human and brought her here to keep her captive. Delman looks utterly stunned for a moment before he bursts into a loud, mocking laugh at the absurd suggestion. He flops back onto an ornate chair, still laughing hysterically, as he declares that there's no joke worse than that one. Bort checks Delman's pulse, revealing the shocking truth. The woman's blood has permeated his demonic contract, tying it directly to her vital signs. Bort is stunned, asking if the pact will break if she dies. Delman grits his teeth, admitting that if the price of the contract can't be recovered, his power will be significantly diminished. This weakness, he decides, is a secret that must not be known to anyone. Bort vows to immediately find a solution. At the same time, Mutiara's frantic escape attempt through the vents leads her in a circle, right back where she started. From her hiding spot, she overhears them discussing her fate, concluding they can't let her escape, but also can't devour her soul immediately. The word devouring sends a wave of terror through her as she stares at the meal below. She realizes with horror they prepared a lavish feast because they want to fatten her up. Listening intently from the vent, she hears Delman's final chilling order to Bort. Keep a close eye on her and get rid of this weakness quickly, no matter what method it takes. His words confirm her worst fears, making her wonder if he wants to get rid of her immediately. She pictures herself being roasted over a fire, solidifying her resolve to get out fast. Believing no one else is around, she decides it's now or never and drops from the vent, using the chandelier to swing down. Just as she lands, the sound of footsteps shatters the silence. She freezes in place as Delman enters the room, his sharp eyes immediately locking onto her precarious position on the chandelier. Desperately holding her breath, she tries not to make the slightest sound, knowing the demon has a highly developed sense of smell. Unfortunately, her traitorous stomach lets out a loud, betraying gurgle. He raises a hand, swirling his finger. The chandelier begins to swing wildly, flipping upside down as she desperately hangs on for dear life. A single tear forms in her eye as the world spins around her, her grip slowly failing. Delman looks up at her with a smug, condescending expression, mockingly asking if she's having fun on the ceiling. Her strength finally gives out, and she slips, dangling upside down just inches from his face, completely at his mercy. Her failed escape has only brought her closer to the very demon she was trying to flee. Delman stares at her, a flicker of suspicion in his demonic eyes as he wonders if she overheard the critical conversation he had with Bort just a moment ago. She hesitates for a moment, trying to quickly come up with a believable excuse for her actions. Hanging upside down, she quickly lies, claiming she didn't like the food and went out to find something else to eat. She's barely hanging on with one foot, about to fall at any moment. Delman looks up at her, unconvinced, and asks if she was looking for something to eat. He moves closer, his face just inches from hers, and mockingly asks if she expected to find breadcrumbs on the chandelier. Suddenly, he blows a wisp of pink energy from his lips directly into hers, a strange and unexpected action. As she loses her grip and begins to fall, her mind screams in terror, certain that he is about to eat her. Her fall is cut short as a decorative chain from the chandelier snags on her clothes, leaving her stuck. The fabric gives way, tearing loudly. She freezes in horror, realizing her clothes have torn in a very compromising spot, much to Delman's apparent surprise. As she falls, his immediate thought is that she mustn't get hurt. He instinctively uses his power to create a cushion of energy, catching her just before she hits the floor. Landing safely, she immediately moves to cover the torn part of her outfit, mortified by the situation. He grabs her arm. As he pulls her up, his eyes lock onto a peculiar injury on her side, a scarred mark that piques his interest. Her expression of raw vulnerability mixed with defiance captivates him, finding it far more interesting than her previous stubbornness. He recognizes the numbers 3.16 as a mark left by some moment of utter despair, musing that a human's vulnerability is the perfect time to sign a contract. Kneeling before her, he offers to help this poor creature, claiming he can transform her despair into hope. He knows she came to his territory for a specific reason. He begins to probe for her motivation, his voice a silky whisper as he guesses at the driving force behind her actions: revenge, greed, or perhaps a tragic love. His last guess hits its mark, her pained expression confirming that a tragic love is the true source of her desperation. A single tear slides down her cheek, a silent confession that tells him everything he needs to know about the wound she carries. To his own shock, Delman feels a single tear roll down his cheek, a completely foreign and unexpected reaction to her raw emotion. He touches the tear, baffled by its presence. He, a powerful demon, shedding tears? The concept is utterly alien to him. Tagi. He scoffs at the very idea, trying to dismiss the strange feeling. She clenches her fist, gathering her resolve. She slams the doors open and runs. As she flees down the grand staircase, she curses his perceptiveness, knowing he saw right through her defenses. She clutches the locket around her neck, reminding herself that above all, she must not reveal the true reason she is there, remembering her brother's warning about the date March 16th. She steels herself with a terrifying thought. If her brother Amber is still alive, her defeat will only put him in danger once again. She spots a brightly lit exit at the end of the hall and sprints towards it, her hope for escape renewed. But she slams right into someone. Dazed from the collision, she looks up to see two boys in tattered clothes sitting on the floor, their presence in the lavish hallway a complete mystery. The two boys, Ruby and Jade, don't recognize her, making Mutiara wonder if there are other human prisoners trapped in this house besides her. Sensing the imminent danger, she grabs one of their hands, urging them to run quickly before the demon catches up with them. She tries to pull him along, but he doesn't move, leaving her confused and vulnerable as they stare back at her with strange expressions. A sinister smile spreads across their faces as they realize she's the boss's prey. They transform out of their ragged clothes, deciding that since their mission failed, they might as well eliminate the human who escaped from the boss to wipe the slate clean. This shocking transformation reveals the truth. These boys aren't prisoners. They are his dangerous accomplices. Just as they're about to strike, Delmond appears on the balcony, his voice booming with authority as he orders Ruby and Jade to stop. He flicks a single coin. The coin explodes with incredible force, sending a shockwave through the hall that throws Mutiara to the ground amidst the shattered debris of the once ornate corridor. With the threat neutralized, a dark, wing-like aura flares around Delmond as the remnants of the explosion's energy evaporate into nothingness, his power on full display. Ruby and Jade look up in terror, stammering their boss's title as they realize the gravity of their mistake. But the explosive force that knocked Mutiara unconscious has also taken its toll on Delmond, leaving a gaping, smoking hole in his chest and revealing a more monstrous, vulnerable form. Ruby and Jade stare in shock at their boss's monstrous form, questioning if it's really him. Delmond tries to snap his fingers, but the magic has faded, and nothing happens. Despite his weakened state, a heavy, oppressive atmosphere radiates from him, confirming for the twins that it is really him. Just then, Bort arrives in a swirl of feathers, and the twins immediately call out to him for help. Ignoring the others, Bort rushes to Mutiara's side, using his magic to heal her injuries and restore her tattered clothes with a gentle purple light. Meanwhile, Delmond's body begins to heal itself, his demonic power knitting the wound shut as his true form emerges, shirtless and covered in glowing tattoos. Ruby bluntly asks what the boss's problem is with this girl, but Bort cuts straight to the point, stating that she is now his weak point. The twins note the girl didn't wake up. Bort checks her forehead, realizing she has a fever his magic can't cure. They must help her recover quickly. The twins finally grasp the situation. This girl's life and physical energy are now linked to the boss. They admit they just assumed she was escaped prey. Delmond sits in silence, looking utterly exhausted and stressed by the impossible situation, while the twins stand behind him, looking guilty for their earlier actions. Bort reports that her temperature is a dangerously high 39.6 degrees. Delmond is utterly appalled by the realization that, due to their linked fates, he is now forced to personally take care of her. Bort bluntly states it's because Delmond mistreated her, and that he must take responsibility. He then shoves the guilty-looking twins out the door, telling them to reflect on their actions, leaving a furious Delmond behind. Delman keeps a reluctant vigil by her bedside as she lies sweating with a high fever, weakly murmuring for a drink of water. He tries to use his magic. He attempts to summon a teapot with his powers, but it remains stubbornly in place, refusing to move an inch. He looks down at his hand in frustration, wondering why his strength has not yet returned to its full power. Resigned to his weakened state, the powerful demon is forced to get up and fetch the water himself like a common mortal. He awkwardly tries to give her a sip of water with a spoon, then attempts to place a wet towel on her forehead, snapping his fingers in frustration at the unfamiliar, mundane task of caring for someone. He realizes he's unable to control his strength properly in this state, making even simple tasks difficult. He's forced to just wait for her temperature to drop on its own, a painful and frustrating experience for him. As he tends to her, her hand suddenly reaches out and grabs his, her voice pleading, "Don't go," in her feverish delirium. In her sleep, she murmurs for someone to hold her hand, her words a soft plea. His demonic eye narrows slightly. He leans back, a weary expression on his face as he wonders who she is still confusing him with. He brushes her hair back, exasperatedly questioning if he's supposed to play house with her or something. Our fevered dream takes her back to a memory of her brother, Amber, his voice calling her name, Pearl, as he gently touches her head with a look of deep affection. The dream shifts to a sprawling city at night, the memory of a younger her searching for him, wearing a mask to disguise herself as she wanders the lonely streets. She remembers looking up at the tall, intersecting buildings, feeling small and lost in the vast cityscape. He had offered her the only thing he had, a small space where they could be together. In her dream, he holds a small paper star, begging her not to leave him wandering alone, like a fallen leaf under the full moon, a memory filled with sorrow. Back in the present, Delman gently adjusts the towel on her forehead, his expression unreadable as he watches over her. His expression is unreadable as he watches over her, listening to her feverish words. In her sleep, she murmurs that Pearl wants to eat the Provencal stew he made. Delman is intrigued, wondering if Pearl is her name and what this stew is. He immediately orders Ruby and Jade to find the best cook to prepare a Provencal stew. They protest, saying it's 3 a.m, but he commands them to figure it out. As the night wears on, Delmond remains by her side, holding her hand as she sleeps, a strange and unfamiliar vigil for the powerful demon who now finds his fate tied to hers. The sound of birds chirping signals the arrival of a new day, sunlight streaming into the lavish room. Mutiara slowly begins to wake, her eyes fluttering open as she becomes aware of something warm and solid holding her hand. Her eyes snap fully open to see Delman sitting beside her, a smug look on his face as he dozes. She's horrified, wondering how she ended up holding hands with this guy. She quickly withdraws her hand, and the sudden movement startles Delmond awake, their brief moment of peace shattered. As his eyes open, her senses return with a jolt, the reality of her situation crashing down on her once again. He feels a familiar surge of energy coursing through him, a triumphant smile spreading across his face as he realizes his supreme control and immense power are finally returning now that she's awake. Just then, the doors burst open as Ruby and Jade return, proudly presenting the Provencal stew they were ordered to find. They proudly explain how they burst into the town's best chef's home, pulling him from bed to prepare the dish. He looks at the hodgepodge of leftovers, a simple dish of simmered summer vegetables, and recalls that this is what she mumbled about in her feverish dreams while she was unconscious. He tastes it to recognize the ingredients, so he can magically recreate it later, earning him admiration from his subordinate. Mutiara is stunned, wondering how he came up with the idea of making this specific dish, fearing she let something slip. The familiar, wonderful smell of her favorite dish fills the air. It's been forever since she's had it, but knowing he's watching her, she decides she'd better eat slowly and carefully. As she eats, the memory of his conversation with Bort echoes in her mind. They can't let her escape, but they can't devour her soul immediately either, reinforcing her terrifying misunderstanding. Mutiara questions his motives for treating her this way, her guard up as she eats. She confronts him, asking if he's feeding her desires now so he can truly consume them later. He leans in, touching her chin with a smirk, calling her smart and his favorite experiment. He pushes her onto the bed, whispering that one must tease their prey slowly for true satisfaction, his intentions becoming terrifyingly clear. A sinister smile plays on his lips as he declares his intent to cultivate her human desire. He takes a drop of blood from his finger, explaining his plan to wait until her soul has attained perfection. He licks the blood from his glove, his eyes glowing with predatory hunger, promising to savor her perfected soul little by little, turning it into a real feast. Mutiara glares back defiantly, saying she'll disappoint him. She now understands his ultimate goal is to seize her soul. A knock interrupts them. Bort enters, asking if she slept well, forcing Delman to quickly move away from her. Bort presents a set of essential items that have been prepared for her, telling her to help herself. Bort presents a dazzling array of luxury goods, expensive clothes, shoes, bags, perfumes, and cosmetics. It's an overwhelming display of wealth, with every item from a high-end brand meant to tempt her. She scoffs internally at their presumptuous attempt to sway her, questioning if they really believe such trivialities could ever tempt her. Resigned to her situation, she accepts that she won't be leaving the residence anytime soon, but realizes she can at least move freely around the mansion for now. Her eyes narrow as she starts to formulate a new plan of action. She assesses her captors, noting there are 4 demons in total. Since the second-in-command, Bort, has never touched her, she decides to start by building a relationship with him. Walking through a field of sunflowers, she questions her mission, wondering if it was really her brother who sent her, or if someone is using his memory for their own purposes. Hiding in the bushes, she overhears Bort reporting to Delmond that the twins' operation failed, and worse, there is a traitor within their family. Bort reveals the traitor has a top-secret list of their influential human contacts. The traitor plans to conclude a deal with Black Jade, an executive of the Opal family, at next week's ball. She is stunned. She recognizes Black Jade as an intermediary who once worked with her older brother, Amber. This man might hold information she needs to escape the demon's clutches. Delman dismisses the idea of attending the ball, stating he despises such gatherings and the foul scent that comes from the humans who attend them. He delegates the mission to Bort, ordering him to intercept the list and ensure their influence is not compromised in any way. Bort agrees to take care of it. Seeing her opportunity, Mutiara suddenly appears from her hiding spot, calling out to Mr. Bort to get his attention. She takes his hand, sweetly offering to be his dance partner for the occasion, confident that she can help him. She flashes a bright, confident smile, her plan to get closer to him and access the outside world now in motion. Delmond watches this exchange with a silent, questioning gaze, his expression unreadable as he processes her sudden and bold offer. He proposes that she and Bort attend the high society ball together, catching him off guard with her directness. She enthusiastically pitches her skills, claiming she's exceptionally skilled at impersonating others and can easily help him lure out the person he's looking for, nodding eagerly to sell her point. A hand slams the table. Delman suddenly appears, his voice cutting through their conversation as he declares her proposal a good idea. He overrules her plan, stating that Bort will monitor the perimeter while he himself will attend the ball in person. Mutiara internally celebrates. Her plan worked perfectly. She knew he wouldn't stand by while his prey brazenly created complications. He then turns to her, declaring that she will be his dance partner, confirming her calculated risk had paid off. Bort watches them, his expression a mixture of suspicion and disapproval at this sudden turn of events. Delman leans in close, his voice low as he correctly suspects she has ulterior motives for wanting to attend the ball. She clenches her fist, her resolve hardening as she reaffirms her true mission: to take advantage of this opportunity and contact Black Jade, an executive from the Opal family, to obtain information about her brother. She begins her performance, complaining that she's stuck in this cursed place all day and is at her wit's end. Continuing her act, she explains that she must be on guard at all times, constantly wary of someone who could devour her at any given moment. Trembling for effect, she claims to be a fragile being, insisting demons can't understand her fragile state of mind. Bringing her act to a climax, she cries that she'll end up losing her mind, banking on the idea that if this ingredient becomes apathetic, it will inevitably affect his appetite. Her words hang in the air. Her performance seems to hit its mark, as Delman now looks genuinely distraught by her emotional outburst. He internally confirms the connection, realizing that his own strength is indeed linked to her current state of mind. Having seen enough, he cuts her off, telling her to dry her tears and prepare to be his dance partner. A triumphant smile spreads across her face as she realizes her gambit paid off. He cares deeply about her state of mind, which means she's finally gained the upper hand. With her plan set in motion, the scene shifts to the following week, the night of the high society ball. In his opulent office, Bort reports that the Opal family's influence has grown rapidly, posing a significant threat to their control over the City of Desire. If the traitor's list falls into their hands, the entire power structure could be rewritten. Understanding the gravity of the situation, Delman declares that they must intercept the traitor personally at all costs. Mutiara internally admits she has absolutely no desire to have any contact with Black Jade, but this may be her only chance. Delman explains that he and Chief Opal go way back, describing the man as a sly fox. Bort adds that, on the surface, the Opals always maintained a cooperative relationship while doing reprehensible things behind the scenes. Delman orders them not to alert the enemy, planning to personally apprehend both the traitor and Black Jade at the ball. Her own mission is clear. She has to find Black Jade and get information about her brother before they do. Delman presents the floor plan of the ballroom, instructing everyone to memorize it, giving Mutiara a crucial piece of intel. She steels herself for the challenge, knowing that to unravel the mystery of her brother's disappearance, she must be a good dance partner. In the sun-drenched garden, amidst fields of sunflowers, Delmond begins to teach Mutiara how to dance, their preparations for the high-stakes ball officially underway as they move together under the open sky. She's confident she has the initiative, but as he pulls her close during their dance lesson, her composure is momentarily shaken by his sudden proximity and control. He leans in, his voice a low and intimate warning not to trick him, before promising to let her in on a little secret. As he gently caresses her hand, he reveals his terrifying ability. He can read her thoughts through simple, physical touch. A sinister, all-knowing smile spreads across his face as he proves his power by addressing her with a name she thought was secret, Miss Pearl. Her eyes widen in pure shock, her mind racing as she desperately tries to understand how he could possibly know her code name. She tries to play it off, questioning if he's talking about her, but he counters her disbelief with a chilling question of his own. He reminds her of the stew he had prepared, asking how he could have possibly known her favorite dish if he couldn't read her mind. The horrifying truth sinks in. Reading minds through touch. She questions if demons really possess such an invasive and overwhelming power. Her mind flashes back to her feverish state, remembering with dawning horror how she mumbled her name and favorite food while he held her hand. Delman smirks, having completely unraveled her entire plan. He sees her attempt to control him and decides to play along with her little game. Mutiara knows she must practice dancing with a man who can read minds through physical contact. To face this daunting challenge, she must completely outdo herself to succeed. She recalls impulsively pushing him away, but after downing a jumbo-sized black coffee, she feels certain she can now conquer this seemingly impossible challenge before her. Across the table, Delman simply watches her with a calm, unreadable expression, completely unfazed by her antics. A servant approaches, questioning if Delman, whom he calls Damon, is truly sure he wants black coffee. Delman takes a sip, privately musing that he never thought he'd drink something meant for humans. He immediately spits it out, disgusted by the incredibly bitter taste, as Mutiara realizes demons react strongly to coffee. Wiping his mouth with a gloved hand, he declares that the drink is something only cattle would consume. Later, standing in a field of flowers, Delmond instructs her with a clear command. He states that Miss Pearl will have to call him Damon when they attend the ball. However, Mutiara refuses his order, defiantly stating that she will continue to call him Mr. Diamond instead. Delman calmly reminds her that participation in the ball requires a partner. Furthermore, they are expected to display a certain level of intimacy to appear convincing to everyone there. Trapped by his undeniable logic, she grits her teeth and reluctantly forces out his name, Damon. Satisfied with her compliance, Delman snaps his fingers, magically summoning a gramophone. With a simple declaration to begin, music fills the sunlit air, swirling around them in the field. As they start to dance, she desperately tries to minimize their physical contact, wondering if it can possibly prevent him from reading her thoughts. Delmond remarks that for a spy, Miss Pearl is remarkably agile and flexible, but she seems so stiff when she dances. She glares up at him, her thoughts racing with pure frustration, silently blaming him for her current predicament. He simply smirks in response. He presses his hand firmly. In one swift, elegant motion, he dips her low, her back arching just above the field of daisies. Her eyes are wide with surprise, caught completely off guard by his sudden move. Looking down at her with a satisfied glint in his eyes, he tells her that's how it should be done. Flustered and angry, she curses the damn demon in her mind. A wave of panic hits her as she remembers he can read her thoughts, forcing her to quickly think about something else. Her brain kicks into full speed, desperately trying to block him. She imagines herself on a rooftop, needing to cross to the building opposite, her mind flooding with complex equations. As they continue to dance, she focuses entirely on her mental calculations, using physics and geometry to determine the perfect angle needed to jump with a rope. However, a crack appears in Delman's facade as he internally questions if she actually believes he can read minds. He pulls her closer now. With her mind completely preoccupied by complex equations, her feet can't keep up with the rhythm of the dance. Watching from a distance, two identical twins comment on the scene. They see their boss dancing with a human, but note it looks more like a tug-of-war, completely out of sync. Frustrated with their lack of progress, Delman abruptly stops, letting go of her hand and calling her Miss Pearl. His eyes narrow with annoyance. He looks down at her, his voice cold, as he bluntly informs her that she is slowing them down. Despite his harsh words, Mutiara looks up with determination, insisting they try again and promising to do it correctly. He smirks at her determination. He resumes the dance, reassuring her that his hands will remain at a distance so she can rest assured. Despite his words, Mutiara finds it impossible to believe that the demon could genuinely care about her. She decides to let her guard down for a moment to regain her calm, reminding herself that she has always managed to accomplish her tasks rather brilliantly. With her mind clear, her body relaxes, and she begins to move with a newfound grace and fluidity. Their feet move in perfect sync. Observing from afar, the twins are impressed, noting that the girl seems light and agile, their coordination finally perfect. As the music ends, she looks up at him with a bright, genuine smile, confident in her progress. However, unknown to them, Delman's attendant has been watching the entire exchange from the shadows of the garden, his expression completely unreadable as he observes their interaction. At an ornate desk, Mutiara focuses on her next move. She knows it's time to prepare an escape plan. She carefully presses powder from dismantled batteries into a compact, convinced the substance will prove to be useful later. Her expression is one of intense focus as she prepares the special powder, her blue eyes sharp with determination. A knock startles her. As the attendant announces her coffee, she quickly hides her work before allowing him to enter. Mr. Bort informs her that a team of professionals is coming to help choose her ball gown. Mutiara is ecstatic, believing she's the employee chosen by fate. Mr. Bort's expression turns serious, reminding her that, for now, she is merely a toy for Damon's amusement. He leans in, his voice low, warning her that the moment she realizes Delman is paying her special attention, it will be an extremely dangerous sign. Confused, she asks for his meaning. He looms over her, explaining that humanity has long been dull and ignorant. He continues his explanation, revealing that despite humanity's general dullness, occasionally, exceptionally gifted individuals have emerged throughout history, standing out from the crowd. Mr. Bort reveals that Damon would admire the talents of these gifted humans. As a sign of his appreciation, he would grant them a very special, and likely terrifying, favor. Bort explains that every time this happened, humans would flatter themselves, believing they'd earned the demon's favor. They would think they were his dearest, the only one who could repel him, or that they were completely under his enchanting spell. This inflated ego and obsession with Damon would ultimately lead to their downfall, regardless of their profession. When Damon contemplated their mutilated remains, he uttered only one chilling sentence. Against a blood-red moon, Damon would look upon their tragic end with utter indifference, simply remarking, "What a shame." Mr. Bort concludes his dark tale by explaining that Damon would then erase any trace left by the other party. This, he warns, is the terrifying culmination of receiving Damon's so-called special attention meant for humanity. It's a fleeting illusion of favor, for which one pays with eternal torment, a grim reality now reflected in her eyes. Mutiara looks him dead in the eye, assuring him her only thought is for his boss to stay far away. Mr. Bort reminds her that the greatest danger for a spy is attracting special attention. He advises her that it would be better not to become the chosen one, lest history repeat itself. Just then, the artistic director of a top fashion house arrives, urging Pearl to try on a gorgeous new gown. The whole team declares they're going to help her choose, surrounding her in an extravagant display. She feels overwhelmed by the sheer opulence, transforming into a sparkling and charming figure, the center of attention. While the fashion team fawns over her beauty, Mutiara worries. She knows that becoming the center of attention is the fastest way to become a target. Meanwhile, the designers debate which outfit is better, presenting their flagship piece. She models a stunning white gown adorned with vibrant red roses. The sophisticated style is a splendid performance of ultimate romance and flamboyance, perfectly colliding sheer fabric with rich hues. Next, she tries a daring little black dress, sparking a debate among the designers. She then models an azure blue dress with fur, making her feel like a fashion doll as the twins praise her ability to pull off any style effortlessly. Mr. Bort scolds the designers for straying from the ball's requirements. Mutiara, fed up, declares them unreliable. She decides to choose her own battle outfit, drawing on her vast experience with countless transformations. Mr. Bort closes her book, stating that for balls of this class, one must choose gowns that conform to etiquette. He calmly presents his own selections from a book, simply telling her to try these. Her eye widens in shock. The fashion team praises his impeccable taste, calling the selections timeless classics. However, Mutiara immediately notices a very specific and troubling detail. All the dresses he picked feature plunging back designs. Sensing her sudden pause, Mr. Bort turns to face her. With a calm and unreadable expression, he asks her if there is a problem. A wave of fear and suspicion washes over her face. She instantly processes the sinister implications behind his very deliberate choices. A new voice enters the room, observing her hesitation. The unseen person suggests that since it is clearly difficult for her to decide, he will take a look himself. Delman suddenly appears behind her, his hand resting possessively on her waist, causing her to jump in surprise. He leans in close, pointing to a specific design in the book and asking for her opinion on it. She looks up at him, stunned. The dress he chose is the one that perfectly hides the scar and tattoo on her back. Delman looks down with a knowing smirk, dismissing the style. He says what truly matters is that the dress suits her. She is completely taken aback, her heart pounding in her chest. The realization hits her hard. He remembers exactly where the scar and tattoo are on her back. Her heart thumps violently, but it isn't joy. It's shock and terror as Mr. Bort's chilling words about Damon's special attention and its terrible price echo in her mind. Clutching her chest, she desperately questions his motives. Is this attention specifically intended for her, or is it just another part of his brilliant and terrifying manipulation? The frantic pounding of her heart isn't a sign of affection. It's a warning, now at its highest possible alert level. The night of the ball has arrived, and guests gather outside a grand mansion, its windows glowing warmly. Vintage cars line the cobblestone street, and the air is filled with anticipation for the lavish event. A polished shoe steps out. Delmond emerges, looking impossibly dapper in a shark tuxedo under the brilliant full moon. His signature red earring is the only splash of color against the formal black and white attire. He extends his hand, gently taking hers as he helps her from the car, like a true gentleman. She steps out in a delicate, sparkling heel, her hair elegantly styled with a golden headpiece. Mutiara is a vision in a shimmering white and gold gown, adorned with layers of delicate necklaces. The moonlight catches every sparkle, transforming her into an ethereal, almost otherworldly beauty for the night. At the entrance, the doorman requests their invitation, but is shocked upon recognizing Delmond. Whispers identify him as Diamond Ghost, the surprisingly young founder of the City of Destre. Mutiara observes that few people seem to know he's the head of the Ghost family, let alone a demon. This sparks a crucial thought. If she can discern a pattern in his demonic contracts, it might lead her to her brother. Reluctantly calling him Damon, she restores contact and whispers her question about the requirements for his demonic contracts. Delmond turns to her, his expression unreadable as he completely sidesteps her question with one of his own. He holds her hand gently, his touch a stark contrast to the danger she perceives from him. He brings her hand to his lips, telling her that if she wishes to enter a contract, she can do so at any time. He kisses her knuckles softly. The unexpected gesture sends a jolt through her, her eyes widening in shock and confusion at his display. She reminds herself to avoid letting her mind wander during physical contact, focusing solely on the dance to hide her escape plan. They take to the dance floor, moving as one under the grand glittering chandelier. Other elegantly dressed couples twirl around them, filling the magnificent ballroom with motion and grace. Mutiara puts on a confident smile, moving gracefully in his arms. They appear to be the perfect, elegant couple, captivating everyone who watches them glide across the floor. Guests murmur about the handsome stranger, guessing he's a wealthy recluse and lamenting that he already has a companion. Others praise her beauty, but Mutiara ignores them. She knows she can't look away from him, needing to focus. As she looks up into his intense gaze, her heart pounds like a drum. She tries to convince herself that the overwhelming feeling must be fear, nothing more. Her heart continues to pound as she dances, consumed by the fear that he'll watch her, control her, and see through every secret she holds. It's a terrifying, suffocating feeling. She panics, immediately trying to shut down her thoughts. She can't risk thinking about her plans while he's touching her. Suddenly, Delmond leans in close, his lips brushing against her ear. Her entire body stiffens in surprise at the unexpected intimacy. She asks what's wrong. He complains about breathing in a nauseating scent of lust, feeling sick. Mutiara is horrified, desperately thinking that he better not dare throw up on her. Squeezing her hand tightly, he instructs her to come with him to the side hallway after the dance. His strange behavior leaves her completely bewildered. Not waiting for the dance to finish, he abruptly pulls her away from the crowded ballroom and down an empty, ornate hallway. He presses her against the wall. With his fangs suddenly bared, she struggles against his grip, demanding to know what he is doing and shouting for him to let her go. She pushes against his chest, her hand glowing with a faint, pink energy as she repeats her demand for him to release her immediately. He ignores her pleas, leaning into her neck. She internally curses the damned demon, wondering if he is an animal for pinning her against the wall just to sniff her. He pulls her into a tight embrace, lifting her slightly as he buries his face in her neck. A soft sigh escapes him as pink energy swirls around them, indicating her power reacting to his proximity. In his thoughts, Delmond reveals his disdain for such occasions. He finds relief in her scent, considering it a pleasant diversion from the overwhelming atmosphere of the party. He pulls back slightly, remarking that her scent is unfortunately a little weak. Mutiara is internally furious, thinking the bastard is treating her like a tonic and being difficult. Releasing her, Delmond declares they have work to do. Enraged, Mutiara internally calls him a perverse animal and reaffirms her plan to escape as soon as possible. As they re-enter a more populated area, a man with light brown hair approaches them. Mutiara politely excuses herself from Mr. Diamond to address the newcomer. The man has a kind, gentle expression as he looks down at her with a warm and welcoming smile. He calls her beautiful lady and asks for the honor of the next dance. At the bottom, a name is revealed. Opal. Mutiara has found the man she's been looking for. Delmond's eyes narrow dangerously. Delmond wraps a possessive arm around Mutiara, demanding to know what business the man has with his partner. Mutiara is stunned, realizing this is the boss of Black Jade, the head of the Opal family. Delmond tightens his grip, his voice laced with possessive venom as he confronts Opal directly. Mutiara is frozen, processing the shocking revelation that this man is the head of the Opal family, the very leader of Black Jade. Opal remains unfazed, smoothly complimenting Mutiara's brilliance. Addressing Lord Diamond, he explains he simply couldn't resist asking the radiant beauty to dance. With a charming smile, he places a hand over his heart, assuring Delmond he will protect her like a precious jewel and return her safely. From the darkness of his thoughts, Delmond's voice cuts through with chilling finality, declaring, "No, she is mine alone tonight." His hand slips down her side. He pulls her flush against him, claiming her heels are too high. He insists she doesn't feel safe anywhere except in his arms. Mutiara internally screams at him to shut up, thinking to herself that nowhere is as dangerous as his arms. Opal watches the display with a knowing look, commenting that such tender care suggests this young lady is no ordinary dance partner. His gaze sharpens, cutting through the pleasantries as he poses a direct, dangerous question to Delmond. Could she be his new, carefully chosen prey? The word prey hits Mutiara with the force of a physical blow. The implication is staggering. This individual, Opal, knows that Delmond is a demon. Mutiara internally assesses her target, noting his androgynous beauty that transcends gender. Despite his youth, he's already the leader of an emerging gang, and, most importantly, has connections with demons. Delmond issues a silent, sharp warning to his rival, reminding him that propriety is the foundation of this city of desire. He views the city as a grand ballroom, where everyone must know their place. As the master of ceremonies, he warns that if you dance your own steps well, the night will be truly enchanting. His warning carries a deadly edge. If you venture into restricted areas or step on others' toes, you'll likely end up in pieces. Opal responds diplomatically, acknowledging that everything works within the framework Delmond established. He thanks him for his guidance. Mutiara's mind races, seeing her opportunity. She identifies Opal, owner of Black Jade, as a splendid and easily accessible material. Delmond turns his attention back to Mutiara, gently asking if she's tired of standing. After she quietly admits she is, Opal gracefully excuses himself, telling her to have a great time and that he won't bother her anymore. As Opal walks away, his thoughts turn to someone named Amber. He muses that her sister has a special gift, warranting a demon's care. Having made contact and gathered information, Mutiara excuses herself to a lavish bathroom to prepare the next stage of her plan. Meanwhile, Delmond notices the twins have vanished. In the bathroom, Mutiara reveals her hidden gear, strapping combat pouches to her thighs. Outside the bathroom, Ruby grows impatient after half an hour, but Jade calmly tells him to have patience. Meanwhile, Delmond is surrounded by women at the party. They're captivated by his unique aura, asking his identity. Growing impatient, Delmond subtly whispers to one of his subordinates, asking if Mutiara has come out yet. An attendant then informs him that several key figures have left the party, including Miss Bath, Mr. Ju, and the movie star Selena. The final, and most crucial name mentioned is Opal. The name Opal instantly triggers a chilling transformation in Delmond. His demonic nature flashes through his eyes as his pupil constricts into a sharp, terrifying reptilian slit, revealing his true self. Delmond's eyes scan the ballroom, and he realizes with a jolt that the real Opal never actually left the dance floor. His face contorts with fury as he realizes the truth. She ran away, and he orders his men to pursue the imposter. The imposter sprints away now. He reaches a corner where Mutiara is waiting, a triumphant smile on her face. She has successfully found her contact. They turn a corner and run into another agent, who questions what his boss is doing there. He was waiting for a top-secret list from the Ghost family before spotting Mutiara and shouting his partner's name, Ruby. Ruby and Jade sprint down the hallway, spotting their target around the corner. Ruby triumphantly shouts that they've found her. With the twins closing in fast, Mutiara urgently shouts at Ruby to quickly light the device she's holding. Ruby lights the explosive compact. It explodes with massive force. Delmond's voice calls out as the twins are caught in the blast, seemingly vanishing into thin air. The smoke clears, revealing a scene of utter devastation. The once pristine hallway is now a wreck of shattered chandeliers and rubble, completely empty. The twins reappear before their boss, faces pale with shock. They stammer out the terrible news. She's gone. A wave of demonic fury washes over Delmond. His clawed hand shatters his wine glass as blood and wine spray everywhere. He gives a single, chilling command. Look for her. His eyes burn with cold, demonic rage. He makes a low, menacing vow, wanting her to have absolutely nowhere to hide. One of his men reports they've searched the building 3 times without finding her. Delmond reasons that since her goal is to find Black Jade, she wouldn't change her disguise yet. Delmond calmly calls for his most trusted attendant, Bort, who immediately responds with a simple yes. Delmond orders him to stay near the building, certain she's with Black Jade and can't be far. Bort confidently accepts the task as dark feathers swirl around him under the full moon. Meanwhile, the real Opal wonders where Amber's sister has gone, noting how much Diamond seems to care for her. An associate assures him he will take care of the matter immediately. Far from the party, Mutiara and Ruby have landed atop a massive clock tower overlooking the city. Ruby, looking exhausted, questions his boss, reminding him the plan was just to get the list. The boss sighs, wondering how the Ghost family members found them. As another agent appears, he questions why they came to the exposed bell tower in the first place. The newly arrived agent is terrified by the height of the clock tower. The boss calmly explains that this location is perfect for getting information about Mutiara's brother, away from prying eyes. He turns to Mutiara, whose codename is also Black Jade. He informs her the situation has changed, their informant has been exposed, and now she is being watched too. He suggests they throw out some bait. The nervous agent decides to head back to the safe house, citing unfinished business. Seizing the moment, Mutiara asks her contact for the latest progress regarding the spy known as Amber. The agent pauses his departure, questioning her sudden concern about the elusive top-tier spy Amber. He casually dismisses her worries, mentioning they just saw each other this month, so there's nothing to worry about. The agent's hand trembles at the mention of her brother, the very reason Mutiara is risking everything tonight. A wave of pure joy and relief washes over her as she realizes her brother is still alive. The boss, however, looks grim and demands to know where the two of them met. The agent is confused, asking his boss why he doesn't know, since it was his request. Before he can finish, the boss suddenly pulls a gun on him. The agent finally realizes the deception, shouting that the man before him is not his boss. He holds the imposter at gunpoint against the massive clock face, demanding his true identity. The imposter calmly reaches up and pulls off a realistic mask, revealing their true face. The agent is stunned as the name Black Jade is uttered. Standing on the narrow ledge under the full moon, Mutiara, now disguised as the boss, coolly asks the agent if he remembers her. The agent recognizes her as Pearl. She demands to know her brother's location, but he insists it's confidential. Suddenly, she spots a muzzle flash from the shadows, realizing someone is about to shoot him. She screams a warning, but it's too late. The agent instinctively moves to shield her as a gunshot rings out, the bullet finding its mark. He gasps, trying to tell her something as a bullet tears through his chest. Mutiara screams his codename Black Jade as a second bullet grazes her own neck. His body goes limp, falling backward off the clock tower into the night. Mutiara reaches out in a desperate, futile attempt to save him, screaming that it can't end like this. Her eye widens in shock. After everything she has been through, after finally reaching this critical point in her mission, she finds herself falling backwards into the empty air, her one lead gone forever. As she plummets towards the ground, a single, desperate thought echoes in her mind. Is there anyone who can possibly come and save her now? Elsewhere, a hand clicks something with purpose. A hand throws a magical item. Suddenly, the air erupts in a storm of glowing red rose petals. They swirl around her as she continues her descent, a beautiful yet bizarre phenomenon interrupting her fall through the night sky. Tears well in her eyes as her desperate wish continues, hoping for someone who can dispel the suffocating fog of uncertainty that surrounds her entire life. Her plea concludes with a desperate hope for someone to save her from this immediate danger, as she falls toward a swirling, fiery red portal that is opened beneath her. Her fall is suddenly halted by an impossibly large, gentle hand. She looks up, realizing who this person is. It is Diamond, revealed in his true demonic form with massive horns and claws. He holds her tiny, fragile form in the palm of his hand, all against the backdrop of a blood-red moon. High above the city, the clock tower stands silent as the last of the magical red petals gently fall. Back on the clock tower, Diamond holds her gently. Noticing her injury, he insists on taking a look at the wound. She pulls away defensively, dismissing the injury as just a scratch. Diamond's serious gaze contradicts her, stating plainly that she's bleeding. She cries out as he touches the wound. A red light emanates from his hand, and the injury begins to heal instantly. As the magic heals her, she eyes him suspiciously. She questions his motives, wondering if he is obsessed with making her his prey. Diamond looks down, his expression unreadable. He quietly asks if that is any way for her to speak to her savior. She remains silent, her mind racing with distrust. A demon following her everywhere surely can't mean her any well. His gaze is intense and unwavering as he makes a solemn promise. He declares that whenever and wherever, he will be by her side. He leans closer, his voice softening as he explains his true motivation. He tells her it's because he is genuinely worried about her, and he doesn't want to see her suffer even slightly. Her mind struggles to process his words. His attention then shifts, and he kneels, asking if she also sprained her ankle. She instinctively recoils, pulling her leg away from his touch. Diamond closes his eyes for a moment, sensing something is wrong. He gently takes her bare foot in his hands, his touch surprisingly careful as he simply asks her to trust him. Looking directly into her eyes with an unyielding intensity, he makes a solemn vow, promising that he will protect her. His words hang in the air, leaving her stunned and conflicted, her blue eyes reflecting a deep uncertainty. The promise echoes in her memory, reminding her of another time she heard those same words from a very different person. She wonders how long it has been since she last heard that vow. 10 years? Or maybe even 15? Her mentor's harsh lessons come flooding back. She was taught to be strong, to handle everything on her own, and that tears were the most useless thing a person could possess. As a young girl, she was taught that being cherished and cared for was a warmth she should never dare to hope for in her life. It was a lesson she learned through pain and sorrow. Back in the present, Diamond kneels before her, his hands glowing with red energy as he heals her sprained ankle. Once the healing is complete, he looks up at her with a confident smile. He tells her that she is now free to run away again. She watches him, her thoughts a whirlwind of confusion. Despite knowing he's a demon, this person is taking such meticulous care of her, a kindness she was taught never to expect. But if that's true, she wonders why, at this precise moment, she feels an undeniable and confusing glimmer of joy. As pink, ethereal energy begins to swirl around them on the clock tower, she asks herself a terrifying question. Could it be that she is actually being tempted by the demon? Delmin's demonic eyes flare as he's hit by the sudden, intense change in her scent. He knows instantly that it must be her. He pushes her down hard. Overwhelmed by her alluring scent, Delmin loses control, pinning her to the ground as a trickle of blood drips from his mouth. He leans into her neck, confirming her scent is changing. She struggles, demanding he let her go, but he growls that it's not enough. He grabs her wrists, the pink energy flaring around his hand as he declares he's still not satisfied. She desperately tells him not to do it. He pins her against the brick wall of the clock tower, lifting her off the ground as she weakly tells him to stop. He inhales her scent deeply, completely lost in his demonic instincts. She pushes against his face, pleading for him to go away. Her mind is a mess of conflicting feelings. She acknowledges his shiny aspect, but reminds herself that he is nothing more than a beast, a demon. His fangs are bared as the pink energy swirls around him. He recognizes the power emanating from her is dangerous, far too dangerous to ignore. She slaps him hard now. The slap stuns him, the red mark blooming on his cheek. Mutiara glares back, clutching her disheveled clothes with defiance and fury. The intensity of the moment leaves her looking down, ashamed and exhausted by the overwhelming confrontation on the cold stone floor. Delmond reaches down, attempting to cover her with his coat. She flinches away violently, curling into a ball and screaming at him not to touch her. She trembles, completely shut down in a defensive posture. For the first time, Delmond seems at a loss, wondering what he should do with her now. He runs a hand through his hair, a faint blush on his cheeks. He admits to himself that he has genuinely become interested in her. His desire is no longer just instinctual. He wants to carefully pry open her hard, protective shell, a beautiful metaphor for her guarded heart. His ultimate goal is to finally touch the precious pearl within her, the soft, true self that she keeps surrounded by her defenses. In a memory, Mutiara angrily tells Delmin not to touch her. He calmly responds that it's her first time exploring the city, and he's simply afraid she will get lost if she runs away from him. Walking down the street, she thinks spies shouldn't attract attention, but her companion is far too flashy. She looks at him with suspicion, questioning his sudden interest and demanding to know what he is truly looking for. He apologizes for his previous rudeness, promising that for today, whatever she wants to do or wherever she wants to go, he will be there for her all day long. The scene shifts to an hour ago, where Bort questions Damon about Pearl. He notes it's been 3 days without a word, wondering if he upset her, while the twins suspect their boss is up to something. Delman found that she did not react to him at all. He then tried suggesting they take a walk down the main street, but she continued to ignore him, remaining silent and distant. Finally, she turned around with a bright, cheerful smile, surprising him by readily agreeing to his suggestion. Her thoughts reveal her true plan. With her contact dead, the trail has gone cold. But she recalls the agent's words about Amber and knows she can still investigate Black Jade's whereabouts, seizing today's opportunity. Her plan takes them to a high-end store, filled with a dazzling array of makeup and cosmetics. Mutiara questions why he brought her to a makeup store, stating she only needs functional costumes for work and doesn't care about her appearance. Delman disagrees, telling her she is clearly very beautiful, and he hopes to find a shade that highlights her unique charm. The saleswoman is impressed, thinking her boyfriend really knows how to talk. Mutiara internally screams that he's not her boyfriend, as she's never had one. Outwardly, however, she endures the comment, simply stating that she prefers to keep a low profile. Delman then instructs the starstruck saleswoman to pack up every single item in the store for sale and deliver them to an address he provides. Back on the street, Mutiara warns him to stay at least 1 meter away from her, a demand to which he calmly agrees. Her eyes suddenly catch a detail on a bakery sign. She recognizes it instantly as a secret symbol, used only by clandestine agents, a hidden message right in plain sight. She glances back at Delmond, casually remarking that she really likes the desserts at this particular restaurant, testing his reaction. He adjusts his hat, completely unsuspecting, and agrees to go take a look inside with her. Inside, she uses lip reading to convey her true message. While asking to order a cake, she secretly communicates that she needs information. The baker, also an agent, responds by asking her to choose a fragrance, which means, what information do you need? She requests the largest strawberry cake, a code for information on places frequented by the Black Jade agent over the last month. The baker confirms delivery in 3 days, with the information hidden inside the cake. Mutiara feels fortunate to have found an informant so quickly, seeing it as some compensation for being stuck with Delmond. Meanwhile, the baker tempts them with a limited edition parfait and a couple's afternoon tea set. Delmond eagerly agrees to the tea set, but Mutiara quickly shuts it down. He then excitedly requests a large strawberry parfait, surprising Mutiara. Seeing his choice, she opts for a black coffee, wondering if demons have a sweet tooth. The baker brings their orders to the table, setting the parfait and coffee down between them in the quiet cafe. To her complete surprise, Delmond switches their orders, pushing the parfait towards her and taking the coffee for himself. He looks at her with a knowing glint in his eyes, simply stating that the sweet, elaborate parfait is for her. She is utterly bewildered, wondering how he knew she wanted it since they hadn't touched. She takes a bite and finds it absolutely delicious, sweet without being cloying. The taste triggers a long-buried memory from her childhood, a wistful moment of wishing she could go to a restaurant for dessert. She questions why she's suddenly recalling these memories. Delmond's voice cuts through her thoughts, asking if the dessert is not to her liking. The realization hits her with stunning clarity. He wasn't reading her mind, he was watching her from the very beginning, observing her true desires. Flustered by his attentiveness, she turns away, propping her head on her hand and deciding it's best to just ignore him. Her attention is then drawn to a nearby cart filled with colorful, star-shaped candies in glass jars. Delmond's voice is low and amused, a smirk playing on his lips as he correctly deduces her interest. He leans over her, holding a jar of the wishing stars. He playfully asks if it's a human custom and suggests that if her wish is too embarrassing to say out loud, she can simply write it down for him. Mutiara closes her eyes, dismissing the entire notion as childish. Delmond challenges her dismissal, pointing out that the way she looked at the parfait was like someone finding a long-lost treasure. He bluntly calls her out, simply stating, "You're a liar." His words hit their mark. She realizes with chilling certainty that all his tenderness and attention were just a sweet mask. It was all a meticulously orchestrated test, designed with the sole purpose of capturing her desires and seizing her very soul. She looks up, her fear replaced by fiery defiance. She accepts his challenge, daring the demon to tempt her. Later, at dinner, Delmond asks if the lobster is to her liking. She replies coolly that it is not bad. At a carnival game, she proves to be an expert marksman who never misses. The terrified stall owner begs Delmond to stop her before she wins all of his prizes. They then take a ride on an aerial tramway, enjoying a panoramic view of the city at sunset. As they walk along the waterfront, Delmond asks if she enjoyed their day. She admits the place is nice, but it would have been better without a killjoy like him. She accepts his challenge to test her, declaring that she will oblige him. Unseen, an agent watches them from a distance. Several days pass. An agent reports back to his boss Opal, who is relaxing with a woman on a couch. Opal, holding a dart, coolly asks if their traitor, who infiltrated the ghost family, has been found yet. The agent apologizes, explaining the traitor disappeared after the ball. As he speaks, a dart flies past his head, and Opal furiously calls him incompetent for wasting his hard work. The agent tries to calm his boss down, offering new information. He presents a photograph showing Delmond and Mutiara together. Opal looks at the photo with a sly smile, finding it surprising that Diamond is going to such lengths for her. He throws a dart, pinning the photo to a board. For years, he's been unable to find Diamond's weak point, but now he believes this girl might be the key. Opal is determined, declaring they must explore every avenue to discover the true connection between Pearl and Diamond. Back at the mansion, Bort greets Damon as he returns. Mutiara, however, quickly rushes past them and up the stairs. Bort praises Damon for handling the hunt for the traitor and recovering the list with efficiency. Damon, however, cuts him off, asking about the traitor's interrogation and if any affiliation was found. Bort apologizes, revealing the traitor died before his execution by using poison hidden in his mouth. Unfortunately, his identity and allegiance remain purely hypothetical for now. Delmond is unfazed, dismissing the setback as the last gasps of vermin who will eventually make a mistake. In her lavish bedroom, Mutiara tells herself there's no need to rush. She decides to wait for the information about Black Jade's whereabouts. As she tries to rest, she wonders why she keeps thinking about a past she should have long forgotten. She hopes a good night's sleep will bring her some clarity. She drifts off to sleep in the grand, ornate bed, unaware of the presence that watches her from the darkness. Delman stands by her bed, his robe open to reveal his muscular physique. He notes she had a golden opportunity to escape but didn't take it, which conveniently saves him the trouble of chasing her. He watches her sleep, thinking that if her fragile body were to be injured, he would be the one to suffer the consequences, remembering a vision of her lying injured in a ruined hall. He leans over her, recalling how she snuck into his basement when they first met. He still wonders what her true goal was on that fateful night. His thoughts are a whirlwind of conflicting images, his demonic tattoos, and the tender moment he healed her ankle on the clock tower. He remembers the intensity of her scent as he touched her, and the crucial question that still lingers in his mind. Did she actually enjoy his caresses? He gently places his hand, marked with a glowing red tattoo, on her stomach as she sleeps. He silently beckons her to come to him, so that he can finally unravel her mystery. His fangs graze his lip as he thinks that she must become more fragrant. He wants desire to fill her entire being so that his palate may finally be satisfied. She smiles in her sleep, completely unaware of his presence. He leans over, his hand gently touching her hair as he whispers for her to keep sleeping. She finds herself in a strange, dark space, floating weightlessly as red ribbons dance around her body, binding her. A delicate lace blindfold covers her eyes, and she drifts through the void, completely disoriented and questioning where she is. A demonic reptilian eye watches her from the darkness. A hand reaches out through a swirling red mist, a silent and ominous presence in her dream. In the surreal dreamscape, she is bound by crimson ribbons, her eyes covered by a lace blindfold. A figure embraces her from behind, his hands marked with glowing red tattoos, and she desperately questions who it is. Blind and helpless, she trembles in his embrace, unable to see or free herself from the silken bonds. He curls up against her, a silent captor in this strange, ethereal prison of her own mind. A wave of terror washes over her as she feels his sharp fangs against her skin. It's a scary, vulnerable moment before he bites down, a soft cry escaping her lips as he claims her in the dream. Yet amidst the fear and the unknown, an unexpected sensation blooms within her. As they are entwined by the crimson ribbons in the endless void, she questions why there's a strange, undeniable sense of pleasure. Her body trembles uncontrollably as her breathing becomes ragged and shallow. Fear has clearly seized her, a cold grip tightening as she is held captive within this strange, vivid dream. Yet despite the terror gripping her heart, a strange and undeniable pleasure begins to overwhelm her senses. It's a confusing, forbidden warmth spreading through her, contradicting everything she should be feeling. This sensation is both sweet and strange, an addictive feeling she can't quite comprehend. The lace blindfold does little to hide her expression as her eyes slowly flutter open. Before her stands the demon from her dream, his true form revealed with sharp horns and glowing crimson tattoos. His piercing red eyes stare directly into her soul, holding her captive with his gaze. The sight of his true demonic form sends a wave of pure terror through her. A scream tears from her. She jolts upright in bed, the scream from her dream echoing into reality as she wakes up. Her heart pounds in her chest, eyes wide with lingering fear from the terrifying vision. Gasping for air, she tries to calm her racing heart in the silent, opulent room. Clutching her head, she desperately tries to make sense of it all. Why did she dream of that demon? It was a true nightmare, so terrifying that the fear still clings to her now. But as she recalls the intimate moments from the dream, she realizes it wasn't just a simple nightmare. The vivid memories of being held and kissed by the demon feel far too real and complicated. The horrifying realization finally hits her. It was an erotic dream. Her mind spirals as she processes that the object of this intimate dream was that very same terrifying demon, causing her brain to completely overheat. She frantically questions herself, wondering if this dream means she secretly harbors inappropriate thoughts about him. The very idea seems so impossible that she rolls around in utter disbelief and mortification. The scene transitions to a bright and sunny morning, where an elegant breakfast has been prepared on a beautiful outdoor terrace. The table is lavishly set, awaiting the start of a new day. Mutiara sits at the table, secretly hoping she won't have to face Delmond after last night's dream. Just then, a voice calls her name. And speak of the devil, Delmond appears right on cue, looking effortlessly charming. He holds a coffee mug, telling her that she forgot it, his smirk suggesting he knows more than he lets on. Completely caught off guard, Mutiara can only stammer as he closes the distance between them, offering the mug. The moment her fingers brush against his while taking the mug, a jolt of energy passes between them. The simple touch instantly triggers a vivid flashback to the dream, making her question what is real. She yanks her hand back instantly. Delmond places a hand on her forehead, noting her flushed face and asking if she has a fever. Internally, he worries, knowing that her getting sick is a bad sign that could cause his own powers to become unstable again. Mutiara freezes in panic, realizing that if he can read minds, he'll discover the embarrassing dream she just had. She shoves the cup away. Then she turns and sprints. Delmond is left utterly bewildered by her sudden outburst, wondering what just happened as dark stains spread across his suit. The twin servants at the table flinch, sensing the dangerous aura now radiating from their master's back. Sometime later, a servant approaches Mutiara on the balcony, announcing that an order she placed has finally arrived. Her expression brightens with relief and excitement, realizing the information she requested has also arrived with the delivery. She rushes back inside, where a man holds a large, pink, gift-wrapped box, waiting for her. With a bright and cheerful smile, she thanks him and eagerly takes the large box from his hands. This cake is more than a dessert. It hides crucial information about Black Jade's movements over the past month. It's the vital lead she needs to finally find her missing brother. With a newfound sense of determination, her eyes narrow as she focuses on the critical task ahead. She decides to go back to her room immediately to unwrap the package and retrieve the scroll hidden inside. Suddenly, the box is opened. Delmond appears before her, his hand glowing with power as he claims he bought the cake and wants to see it. She stares in disbelief, realizing her entire plan is about to be completely ruined by him. The twins exclaim how delicious the cake looks, asking to eat it. Delmond smoothly states he bought it for Miss Pearl, but insists they must all share it together, wrapping an arm around her. She realizes he must be doing this on purpose, putting her in an impossible position. Refusing now would only make her look guilty. Now seated in the lounge, Delmond gestures towards the cake with a smug look, insisting that she cut it first. She nervously holds the knife, wondering why he's so insistent on sharing this specific cake with her. Her mind races as she tries to understand his motive. Is it merely a coincidence that he chose this exact moment to interfere, or does he know something more? The timing feels far too perfect to be just an accident. His intense, knowing gaze sends a chill down her spine, making her question everything. Could he already suspect her true intentions? His smirk suggests he's playing a game, and she's just a pawn. Mutiara knows the information is hidden somewhere inside this cake, but she has no idea where. She carefully probes her slice, wondering if it's in the frosting, cream, or even the strawberries, but finds nothing. She watches him closely as he eats his slice of cake. He chews calmly, giving no indication that he's found anything unusual inside. As she cuts another slice, Delmond breaks the tense silence. He begins to speak casually, mentioning a rumor he heard about high-level intelligence agents. He continues, explaining how these agents hide microfilms or paper inside their food to exchange information. Every word is a thinly veiled accusation, aimed directly at her, confirming he knows exactly what she's doing. She's completely stunned by his directness, unable to tell if this is a real showdown or just a cruel joke. She quickly composes herself, feigning amusement to hide her rising panic. She coolly asks if he got that idea from watching a movie. Turning the tables, she offers him a spoonful of her cake with a confident smile. She challenges him to find any secrets, knowing she already checked this part with her fork and found absolutely nothing. He stares at the spoon. He accepts her bold challenge. As he pulls the spoon away, a single sharp fang is briefly visible, a chilling reminder of the demon from her dream. He smiles, commenting on how sweet it is, with a look that suggests he's not just talking about the cake. His comment and the sight of his fang send a jolt of shock through her, triggering a vivid flashback to the demonic dream where he bit her neck, blurring reality with the nightmare. She scolds herself for letting her mind wander at such a critical moment, realizing now is not the time to be distracted. As time ticks by, most of the cake has been eaten, yet the information is still nowhere to be found. She realizes it must be hidden in the remaining part, with the strawberries being the most likely location. Playing her part, she sweetly asks if she can have the rest of the cake, claiming she really likes the flavor. Delman looks at her with amusement and agrees, saying of course she can. Just as she thinks she's won, he completely shatters her plan with 3 simple words. I'll feed you. She is completely flabbergasted by this. He picks up the large strawberry with his fork, his eyes glinting as he suggests her secret might be hidden right there. He then places the strawberry between his lips, holding her gaze as he commands her to come to him. She hesitates, frozen in place. He stands and moves closer. She panics, knowing the crucial information must be hidden in that very strawberry he now holds captive. She makes a desperate move. But he's faster, grabbing her hands and pulling her close before she can even touch the strawberry. He leans in, the strawberry still held between his lips, his gaze intense and unwavering. She's trapped, her heart pounding as the space between them vanishes, the tension becoming almost unbearable. He brings his face even closer, the sweet scent of the fruit filling the air between them. With no other choice, she closes her eyes and leans forward, taking a bite of the strawberry. Then she headbutts him hard. He stumbles back, impressed by her strength and noting how fast she always is when she runs away. Later that night, Mutiara pores over a map in her study, the scroll of information now safely in her possession. She meticulously traces the routes, searching for any clue that will lead her to Black Jade. The newly acquired information reveals several places where Black Jade was spotted over the last month. This gives her a concrete set of locations where her brother might have stayed, finally providing a real direction for her mission. With a clear plan to investigate each location, a wave of relief washes over her. She feels she can finally sleep peacefully, knowing she's one step closer to her goal. But just as she is about to drift off, a horrifying thought suddenly strikes her. She realizes that falling asleep means she might have that terrifying nightmare again, the one that felt so much like an erotic dream. She wonders if the dream was triggered by Delman's rude and aggressive behavior toward her earlier. The memory of his bite still feels unnervingly real, leaving her deeply unsettled and confused. The memory of his close-up posture today, especially during the strawberry incident, only intensifies her anxiety. She shivers, realizing she absolutely cannot fall asleep and risk facing that dream again. She gets out of bed. Deciding to stay awake at all costs, she returns to her desk to continue working. Despite her best efforts to fight it, exhaustion eventually wins, and she finally falls asleep. Sometime later, Delman finds her asleep in the study. He gently lifts her into his arms, his expression unreadable as he carries her through the moonlit manor, her safety now in his hands. He gently places her onto the bed, ensuring she is comfortable. As she sleeps soundly, completely unaware of his presence, he watches over her, his golden eyes reflecting a mix of concern and calculation as he carefully considers his next move. He stands watch in the moonlit room, a deep concern etched on his face. He knows that if her spirit breaks and she becomes apathetic, it will directly and negatively affect his own magic, linking their fates inextricably together. The next day, Mutiara presents her findings, starting with Luke, a thermal paradise located at the foot of snowy mountains. This spa resort, situated just north of the City of Desire, is described as the heart of the hot springs. She explains that this beautiful resort is one of the places Black Jade visited this month, a key lead she finally uncovered among a pile of advertising brochures. She presents this information to Delman's subordinates, proposing her next move. As they discuss the plan, one of the twins announces they've just received tickets for a brand new luxury train. The other subordinate clarifies, asking if they're referring to the stack of VIP tickets that Opal conveniently sent over. The brochure advertises the brand new luxury train as a magnificent mobile palace, promising an experience of unparalleled comfort and elegance. The interior of the dining car is exquisitely decorated, evoking a sense of old-world glamour and adventure. It's presented as a tribute to extraordinary exploration, an idea that leaves Mutiara and the twins completely impressed and excited. Mutiara excitedly suggests they all go together. However, the men are wary, revealing Opal claimed the tickets were an apology, while denying any knowledge of Black Jade's collusion. They suspect it's a trap and doubt Delman will agree. Mutiara looks disappointed, assuming her plan is rejected. But then, a voice declares that going together is perfect. Delman closes his book, accepting the plan, leaving Mutiara completely shocked by his sudden agreement. Delman reveals there's a condition to his agreement. He presents a small, elegant jewelry box, telling her she must wear what's inside. She hesitantly takes the box from his gloved hand, her expression filled with suspicion and uncertainty. Inside the box is a simple yet elegant black choker with a single pearl pendant. He calls it a little gift designed just for her. He then issues his ultimatum: wear it and they'll go to the hot springs. She weighs her options, her expression grim. She decides that as long as it gets her closer to finding her brother, she'll follow his instructions for now. He leads her to a mirror and fastens the choker around her neck. He leans in close, whispering that it suits her perfectly and tells her not to move, his hand resting possessively on her shoulder. She instinctively reaches for the choker, complaining that it feels uncomfortably tight around her neck. He reassures her, explaining that once it adjusts to her body temperature, the velvet lining will soften. She remains suspicious, asking about the buckle and whether she can remove the choker by herself. He doesn't answer her directly. Instead, he runs his hand along the back of her neck, explaining that it's a unique safety buckle. He then delivers the chilling truth: he is the only one who can ever open it. He looms over her, his presence both menacing and protective. He tells her not to worry about comfort, his words doing little to ease the tension coiling in her stomach. He promises it will fit her perfectly, just like a second skin, a beautiful cage she can't escape. Later, back in her room, she inspects the choker with a magnifying glass. She finds no cameras or GPS devices, yet it remains impossible for her to remove, leaving her completely baffled by its mechanism. She tries to push the worry from her mind, knowing she slept poorly last night. She can't let this stress continue, as it will surely affect her performance and jeopardize her mission. Knowing she's leaving for the hot springs soon, she resigns herself to the fact that she needs rest. As she falls asleep, she's pulled back into the familiar, terrifying dreamscape where a hand reaches out for her. And in the darkness of the dream, the true purpose of the choker is revealed through a chilling whisper. It is not a gift, but a tether. Wherever she goes, he will always know. In her dream, the demon holds her tightly, his grip possessive as crimson ribbons bind them together in a cosmic void. She is trapped in this intoxicating nightmare, unable to break free from his powerful, intimate embrace. A voice echoes in the darkness, confirming her deepest fears. The choker is a leash, ensuring she can never truly escape him again. Meanwhile, back in the waking world, Delman descends the grand staircase in the dead of night, the manor silent around him. As he reaches the bottom of the stairs, a familiar voice calls out his name, stopping him in his tracks. It's Bort, who questions his master's intentions. He points out that the trip isn't just for Pearl's sake, reminding Delman that he knows very well it was Opal who provided the tickets, hinting at a potential trap. Delman smirks, his expression confident and cunning. He counters Bort's concern by asking if he checked the passenger list during the day. As a book floats into his hand, his demonic power flares to life, horns emerging from his hair. He reveals his true motive. One of his biggest clients is also on that train. He explains that this client is waiting for him to redeem his soul, as the contract between them has finally expired. The day of the trip arrives, and the twins are absolutely thrilled by the brand new luxury train. They lean out the window, shouting with excitement as the lush green landscape blurs past them at an incredible speed. The train, named the Gemstone, is a masterpiece designed by the famed creator of mobile palaces, Mr. Lin Gay. It promises a faster, more comfortable, and luxurious journey for all of its passengers. Inside, they find the train even has its own adorable mascot distributing souvenirs to the passengers. Mutiara sips her tea, but she's deeply troubled by the recurring nightmare she had again last night. A crew member approaches Delmond, informing him that their VIP journey is about to begin. The tour showcases the train's 5-star dining car, which serves local specialties against scenic landscapes. The private bedroom suites are described as mobile palaces, complete with top-quality bedding to ensure a restful journey. The suite is even stocked with popular perfumes and high-end skincare products. Delman smirks, asking if this is her first time on such a train. Mutiara coolly replies that she maintains a low profile and avoids expensive things unless required for work. The question triggers a memory of her brother's training. He taught her that the first lesson of being a spy is to conceal your whereabouts, using different modes of transportation like railways and bicycles to shake off anyone tracking them. He also established a secret code to verify their identities whenever they were alone at home. The code was a simple exchange. He would say, "A cup of coffee, no sugar," and she would respond with the countersign, "A pot of stew, no cheese," confirming it was truly them. The memory is warm and vivid, her brother praising her for being so clever as she hugged him tightly. It was a time of safety and affection, a stark contrast to her current dangerous reality. The bittersweet memory brings a faint, wistful smile to her face, a brief moment of warmth. Her moment of peace is shattered when Delman's voice cuts through her thoughts, asking why she's smiling. He's suddenly right behind her, his intense gaze locking with hers, instantly creating a heavy, suffocating tension. The silence stretches between them as they stand by the window, the beautiful scenery outside forgotten. She quickly turns away, composing herself, and claiming the beautiful scenery outside the window had simply captivated her. As a crew member directs them away from the ladies' suite, the twins whisper to each other. They notice their boss seems particularly grumpy, speculating that a certain scent has put him in a foul mood. Overhearing their conversation, Mutiara steps forward and asks them directly if they're talking about the scent of desire. She realizes she knows almost nothing about the demon she's tied to. To win, she must know her enemy, and building a good relationship with the twins is the key to learning more about him. The twins simply reply that it's the boss's special intuition, a vague answer that deepens the mystery. She holds their gaze, her expression turning serious as she presses for more information about this strange ability. She asks if they can't smell her scent, but they confirm there's no smell at all. This leads her to correctly deduce that not every demon can smell her, and only their boss possesses this unique ability. She beckons them closer, and they lean in, admitting they might not be experienced enough yet. They explain that ever since they met the boss, he's been incredibly picky about his contract partners. Suddenly, a sharp voice calls out their names, and the three of them freeze in unison. Delman appears, his expression unreadable as he gives the twins a direct order. He has something to attend to, and they must absolutely not lose sight of her this time. They snap to attention, agreeing immediately. The scene then shifts. Delman sits alone in the dining car as the sun sets, his thoughts focused on the impending deadline. At midnight, the sole contract of his client will expire, and he'll be there to collect. However, he finds it strange that he can't detect the person's scent, a crucial tool for his work. He stands, confident that their compartment can't be far away, and begins to walk through the car to find them. While Mutiara and the twins are settled in their suite, one of them notices someone lurking suspiciously outside. He decides to check it out, promising to be right back. 2 hours later, Ruby still hasn't returned. The remaining twin, Jade, grows concerned, and, noticing Mutiara is hungry, offers to get food, promising to knock 3 times upon his return. Now left completely alone in her suite, Mutiara passes the time by casually flipping through a tour guide. Suddenly, a loud knock sounds. She's startled by the noise. She opens the door to find the train's cheerful mascot standing there, greeting her with a simple hello. She recognizes the mascot from earlier in the day when it was handing out souvenirs in the hallway. The person inside the costume explains that they've come to deliver her souvenir from the train. The mascot places a small, neatly wrapped gift box into her gloved hands, its purpose completely unknown. As she sits on the edge of her bed, the mascot's shadow looms over her, its cheerful appearance now feeling deeply menacing as the gift sits ominously in her lap. Sensing danger, she pulls out her hidden gun. She instantly incapacitates the mascot. The mascot collapses to the floor, revealing the person inside was no match for her swift attack. She rips off the mascot head, revealing the unconscious face of a man, clearly an assassin sent to kill her. She notices a small device on his collar labeled Number 02. A chilling discovery that implies there are other assassins on board. The situation has suddenly become far more complex and dangerous than she initially realized. Her mind races as she connects the dots. The twins still haven't returned. She fears they've also encountered assassins, but questions how mere humans could defeat powerful demons unless they were specifically prepared for such a fight. Realizing the attackers must know about demonic power and came prepared, she decides on a new strategy. If the twins are truly in danger, then the safest course of action is to go undercover. Her plan is to become one of the enemy. She puts on the mascot costume and walks down the train corridor. She soon encounters another man who addresses her as Number 02, asking if she has finished her task. Mutiara instantly recognizes him as the train conductor who checked their tickets that very morning. This confirms that the assassins have infiltrated the train's crew, making the entire journey a carefully orchestrated trap from the very beginning. She now understands that the conductor is an accomplice of the puppet killer, part of the larger conspiracy. Lowering her voice to mimic the assassin, she reports that the target is solved and locked in the toilet stall. The conductor, satisfied, tells her the boss will inspect it later and urges her to follow him. He leads her to a private room filled with numerous men, all appearing to be part of the same dangerous group, their expressions grim and ready for action. She's shocked to find an entire private room full of assassins, realizing the scale of this operation is massive. On a table in the center of the room, she sees a small cage holding 2 distressed foxes. The leader, a smug man with glasses, reveals they are demons. He explains that he used magical holy water to suppress their powers and transform them into their current animal forms, boasting about his success. As his subordinate praises him for the powerful holy water, Mutiara stares in horror, realizing with a sickening certainty that the 2 captured foxes are none other than Ruby and Jade. She questions their motives, realizing she's trapped with strong assassins and has no chance of winning a direct fight. Her expression hardens with grim determination as she assesses the impossible odds stacked against her. One of the assassins threatens the agitated foxes with a knife, telling them to quiet down or he'll stab them. The other goon foolishly tells him that hitting them will only make them more agitated. The leader orders his men to keep the demons intact, planning to sell them to lab backers. The leader calls Mutiara shrewd for her suggestion. Seizing the opportunity, Mutiara, still disguised, volunteers to take the agitated foxes to the train's medical room to give them sedatives, hoping to separate them from the group. One of the assassins stops her, questioning if she plans to keep the valuable demons for herself. Mutiara calmly counters, explaining she must quiet them before they leave the train to avoid discovery. She argues they wouldn't want such rare items found. As a guarantee, she gives them a 5-minute deadline to find her. With their reluctant agreement, she quickly takes the cage and leaves the room, shutting the door behind her. Once safely away, she restores her original voice, whispering a promise to the captive foxes, "I'll save you." She knows time is of the essence on the unstoppable train. The best course of action is clear. Back in the assassin's room, the 5-minute deadline passes. The leader and the conductor grow suspicious when number 02 hasn't returned, noting that the real assassin is always punctual. This delay makes them realize something is terribly wrong. The conductor kicks down the bathroom door, discovering the real number 02 locked inside, unconscious. The horrifying truth dawns on them. The person they just saw in the mascot costume was their target, the woman in disguise. The assassins scramble, ordered to search for her immediately. The boss's order is clear, but their panic is evident. The boss's order echoes through the train. Catch her before midnight. The assassins immediately begin a frantic, train-wide manhunt, checking every compartment and corner as they race against the clock to find their target. The narrow corridors are filled with the chaos of the search as assassins, disguised as crew, rush past unsuspecting passengers. The entire train has become a hunting ground, with Mutiara as the sole prey. Meanwhile, Mutiara, now disguised as a staff member, is stopped by the conductor. He asks which area she's responsible for, and she coolly replies, "Area E," hoping her bluff will hold. Her bluff fails. The conductor points out that Area E doesn't provide meals at this time, a clear violation of procedure. Cornered, Mutiara quickly claims she's new to cover her mistake, but the suspicion in his eyes grows. Her cover is blown. The conductor sees through her disguise and immediately shouts, alerting everyone that he's found her. With no time to waste, Mutiara leaps over the service cart, sending it crashing into her pursuer. She simultaneously releases the caged foxes, creating a chaotic diversion as they scamper away. The corridor immediately floods with assassins, all brandishing knives and swarming towards her with deadly intent. She is completely surrounded, with the freed foxes still by her side and nowhere left to run. Trapped and hopelessly outnumbered by the horde of killers, she closes her eyes, a single thought of defeat echoing in her mind. It's over. Just as the assassins are about to strike, a massive, fiery force erupts from behind her. It tears through the attackers in a blur of raw power, sending them flying with screams of agony as it carves a path of destruction. She opens her eyes in utter shock, completely stunned by the sudden and violent intervention that just saved her life. A furious voice cuts through the chaos, radiating pure rage and possessive power over the carnage. Delman stands behind her, a formidable shield against the chaos. His hand rests possessively on her waist, pulling her back as fiery energy swirls around them, a clear warning to anyone who dares approach. His voice is deceptively calm, a chilling promise of the brutal fate that now awaits the assassins.